I'm often asked, what should I expect from a first counseling or therapy session? And it's really normal to feel a little nervous or anxious about your first session with a counselor or therapist. I remember the first time that I sought therapy, I thought my therapist was going to judge me. I was worried she was going to tell me that I was crazy. And I promise you that we therapists are kind and compassionate human beings who want to help you. We are not judging you. And the first therapy session is really just an opportunity to get to know your therapist and see if you're a good fit. The research shows that the people who do the best in therapy and report the most progress like their therapist. That is the biggest predictor of success. So making sure that this is a person that you feel comfortable talking with, that you feel like they're understanding you, that you feel like you could see yourself continuing to share more with them, that's what's most important. And you can absolutely feel free to ask your therapist questions. So you can ask them about their background, their areas of expertise. If you're dealing with a particular life situation, you want to ask if they have ever been through something like that, you can certainly ask them. And the therapist is probably going to have some paperwork for you. So sometimes people complete that at the beginning of the session, sometimes it's completed at the end, but there's always an informed consent where they're going to explain confidentiality and they're going to explain what your insurance covers and what your out-of-pocket expenses might be, and answer any questions that you might have. And then they're going to ask you about your presenting issue. What is bringing you to therapy? And this is an opportunity for you to just share whatever you feel comfortable sharing about your current situation and how you're doing and what you're interested in working on. And it's a conversation. You do not have to say anything that you're not comfortable sharing during the first session, nor should you. That can be really anxiety provoking, and it's important to make sure that you have a nice, trusting rapport with your therapist before you share your deeper, darker secrets or issues that are really personal. So you can answer their questions. They're going to ask you probably some questions about your overall health and wellness. How are you doing with your sleep, with your nutrition, with your exercise? Are you seeing your current doctors or providers and staying up on your health care? They're going to ask you about your symptoms. Are you experiencing any symptoms of depression, which can include changes in mood, obviously, or in sleep or appetite, or have you been feeling irritable or agitated or angry or sad? They may ask you some questions about, are you having any symptoms of anxiety? And right now with the pandemic, 65% of us are reporting symptoms of anxiety. So no judgment, no shame, no blame. We all have mental health just like we have physical health, and be honest and open with your therapist. So they may ask you about your substance use. They may ask you how much you're drinking or if you're using any drugs. And be honest, just share your information so that they can help you to the best of their ability. They're going to ask you about your family history, your relationships, and this is to get a sense of your support network and what you've been through in the past. I believe that we're all shaped and molded by our earlier life experiences. And sometimes we unconsciously recreate what's familiar until we become conscious and aware and we choose something better. So therapy, of course, I think we all can benefit from it at various points in our lives. And I think it can really help us succeed both personally and professionally. It doesn't mean that we're crazy or in crisis. I think we can all benefit from mental wellness tune-ups and seeing a therapist or counselor whenever we're going through a significant life change or stressor. So again, don't be nervous about your first appointment. Be yourself, relax. Your therapist is your friend. They're there to help you. And you just want to make sure it's a good fit and share why you're there and answer their questions. I always tell people to think about staying in therapy at minimum attending once a week for at least 12 weeks. And the reason I suggest that is because it's a really manageable amount of time. Most of us can commit to that idea of seeing a therapist once a week for 12 weeks. And the research really shows that most presenting issues are resolved within 12 sessions. Honestly, most people end up seeing the benefits at that point, and they want to continue on and they want to keep making progress. So they stay on beyond that. And when you're feeling fabulously, you'll meet with your therapist less often. Maybe you'll go every other week or once a month or at various points for tune-ups. I do like to tell people that therapy is a little bit like cleaning out a messy closet. If you're like me and you've ever had a closet that you've crammed a bunch of stuff into, starting therapy is a little bit like opening up that closet and pulling everything out and taking a look at it. And sometimes that can be a little overwhelming. So it is normal sometimes for people to feel a little bit worse actually when they start therapy, until they are able to let go of some of those things and rework some things. And then they'll start really feeling better. So therapy really has 3 different phases. The first part is information gathering, where your therapist is getting to know you. And the second phase is where you and your therapist have identified what's working in your life and what maybe needs some tuning up. And you collaborate and use different tools and techniques so that you can address those issues and move forward. And the last phase is termination. Again, when you're doing fabulously, you and your therapist will decide if you should meet less frequently or eventually say goodbye. So I really wish you well. I hope that you give therapy a try. I think it can help all of us, especially during the pandemic now. I think we all need it. So best wishes. Thank you.